Hey guys, I've been reading the thread, and the suspension rabbit hole that you all talking about is definitely something I was going with for a little while there. The lower shocks for the crawling I went with mainly for like the JK model. This one I set as an LCG, weight very far forward, say 60 up front, maybe 40 to the back. Might even be more than that the way I got it set up now. But put it really low style, as you can see up underneath. Pretty vertical on the mounting points. And I got them super low set. I even clipped the springs to make them a little bit shorter so it sits almost full compression from the start. The back are a little bit more diagonal, so when it's on a rock and it's sitting vertical, the suspension is just about up and down to help push against it, and it doesn't have as much bind. This one's got a lot of weight in it. The brass weights with the bead locks in there, and the diff covers has had a lot of weight. I had to upgrade the steering because these tires are like high racks, super sticky, grip the rock like amazingly. So what made this probably the best climber out of all of the ones that I've been working with is the weight distribution. I left the battery tray in, but only secured the wire there. Actually, I was thinking about taking that out just to lose some more weight. I relocated the battery all the way front, velcroed it in place with its own strap to the body mount, puts all the weight to the front. You can see here, hardly anything in the back. I mainly did that to displace the weight of this rack. 3D printed rack, I didn't think was much, but it actually did create a lot of top heaviness. But still, this one is by far the best crawler. This one will stick to rocks like crazy compared to, like, say, my trail truck. Oh, this one, by the way, I got Angela a 66 turn big block for it. That motor's finally starting to give out. The original motor that was in it, I got that in 2020 during COVID. Climbed a lot of couch cushions. Thing on the Black Betty here is the suspension links. You can see down in there, but focus, you can see them flex a little bit more. They're a 3D printed link to give it a little extra suspension movement. Right there. That's from Grizzly Works RC. I think it was an Etsy store. Really good stuff. I love his idea of expanding and being able to make it flex that much more. You can see it right down inside there. There's a front one too, and it has a locking point for the cantilever so that you still have good steering and support while the front is fully flexed as well. It gives it about an extra, I don't know, maybe quarter-inch movement, something like that. Things are so on other suspension setups with my C10 mud truck. I set this one up. I wanted it more like some of the old redneck lifted trucks that I had as a kid. My old Blazer, my old Dodge, lifted way too high to be any good for anything else besides diving into a mud pile. With this suspension, I relocated to switch the weight around, all the electronics to the rear, and move the battery just in front of the motor position so that it pushes more of the weight forward. I couldn't go sideways across the gear because the hood was a little more shallow. I was trying to figure that out, but I ended up adding two of the stick-on links. I only have one stick-on link, as you can see there. Then, because I wanted a high suspension mud truck, trail truck, like you were saying, Rude, is I went for the double throwdown shocks, which expand huge amount, and then they compress way down low because they have two sleeves, sleeve inside of the shaft to create extra drop. So it's got a lot of travel when it comes to its, before it starts lifting the tire right there. And that's almost 4 fingers before it starts lifting the rear tire. This one was a lot of fun. And messing around, I took the old servo and put it on the rear with the front axle out of another SCX. Made this thing that crab walking 4-wheel steer, as you can see here. Crawl's kind of funny. That's a lot of fun to mess with. But that's another suspension setup. I'm mainly set for trail and mud, which is just Airsoft BB's my mud pit. Now, the other one that I just recently got is another trail truck. It doesn't do so well on like more vertical crawling, but great trail truck, pulls really well. That's why it's got the trailer hitch, but it's got the hard body, and it's super heavy hard body comparatively. Didn't do much to it except just sliding the battery a little bit farther forward, and I ended up using some of the spacers on the springs, just the smallest one there, to make sure that it had just enough clearance for these big ass tires. These are the ones that it came with. I flipped them around because these beadlock screws don't make well for the brass weights to go into. I haven't done any other weight modifications to it, and it still has the original servo. I didn't even do the O-rings on my steering links to make that more sturdier. That's coming up. I haven't really done much to this except for modifying what used to have the rooftop tent, like the Jeep Gladiator. I flipped it over, made it a light bar from my deadbolt, and painted up some of the smaller items and accessories to make it look like the scale little truck it is, including the Gatorade back there. Also, it's kind of hard to see, but I have the Bombs Away Betty on there, like the other power wagon from Axial, my Harley, and honk if you love Axial, Pro Line, and another Axial sticker on the back. And I did up the bed liner on it right for the rear. I only did 2 of the spacers in there for the suspension to keep it up enough height for when I'm pulling the trailer. Yeah, I think it's cute. It's got a cat sticker on it, so I think it has a cat motor to it. That would be an awesome deal. So it's got extra suspension bumped up in the back for when I'm towing that rig or whatever else rig I have going with me. Looking at some of the stickers, I also got Keep On Trucking, my homage to the firefighters out there, and Stark Industries. You know, another Tony that gets stuck down the rabbit hole occasionally. Angela's Jeep, not only the coolest Jeep around, but it's also cool. And it's a booby bouncer. The sticker she chose, I love it. On top of her controller, it also says that she's the black Jeep of the family. It's a good little rig. Now for the suspension rundown of this little guy. Old blue 54 panel. I love this thing. I use some DOT stickers for headlights, and if you get them in the right angle, they reflect light pretty well. and taillights for it. You're killing me, Smalls. I got R2 riding shotgun there. I had it in a shovel, a little maxi track board in there. Now this one, in the deep dives, I made it a lot stronger. It's got another 66 turn big block in it. I moved the battery forward to just above it. It also has an upgraded steering. What is that, the Emax? Yeah, Emax. The other ones, the steering was so weak it couldn't turn these tires very well when they grip so much. I'm thinking I'm going to have to modify the new Power Wagon the same way. But this one, suspension-wise, I tried something different. It doesn't have springs at all. So it sits deadpan, like a solid straight axle when it's cruising. But when it gets up onto a rock and it starts to flex, it has no resistance on flexing. Flex really, really high. The fact that I swapped it out with the portal axles put the pumpkin up a little bit higher, and it's a lot heavier with all the metal components. It doesn't have the internal wheel weights like the other ones do. They didn't quite fit in there very well, but I also put on wheel extenders. So the wheel extender is in there. Put it out just a little bit farther so that I would stop rubbing on this tire because I went so big. These did make for a bit more weight gain, but it hasn't had to have too much traction enhancement. I did a little bit of brass on the back. Both diff covers are done, but you can see no springs, and it flexes like crazy. So this is by far the best crawling and trail rig between them all so far. I don't know, this one does crawl rocks a little bit better, I think, because it doesn't tip as easy. But I had to go for the ground clearance with that one and made it a little bit more top heavy. I'll figure out something to get the weight down maybe. Well, that's the little suspension rundown I got on these 24s. And there's the roll bar. Chris's ecto body. I was able to black out the side panels. I think I have some old military stars stickers maybe put on there. But I tried to go for a different style paint job on it. And got metal flake fade into hammered bronze. It's like more of a gunmetal gray than a hammered bronze. I tinted the windows in there as well, and put real bed liner into the back. So this one's coming along. I'll get my hole punch out and make some DOT reflective taillights for it. Go back where the other ones were. And I haven't figured out for headlights yet, but it's coming soon. When the RGT comes back together, this body I figured out how to make work. Can't wait for that to happen and get out there and crawl with you guys. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.